hey, I can work extremely hard, do all the things right, but if I don't know the right people and the right people don't know me, and they're not in my industry, or they're not in my company, or they're not supportive of my career aspirations and my career goals, then I'm at a distinct disadvantage when compared to someone who has that ear of someone who is a decision maker, or has the ear of someone who is doing big things in my industry. I hope you take it to heart and begin to seek out clubs that you can join and become a active community member of. These clubs can be organized around industries. It can be organized around professions. Like you can join some associations for nurses. You can join some association for consultants and from software developers. There's also clubs that you can join related to ethnicity or based on your racial identity. There's clubs that you can join based on your region, like, hey, all the people who live in small towns and farm or whatever, right? There's clubs that you can join not just based on region, but you can join based on language. Hey, we're all going to learn Spanish, or we're all going to learn Mandarin, or we're all going to learn whatever the language is, French. And you can have clubs associated with that objective of learning that language. So that's been my experience. And there's also a lot of political clubs that you can join. From the Democrats and Republicans, and that's in our country, or left and right around the world. There's always some sort of political club that you can join. In my experience, living in LA and reaching out to the various clubs that are in the area, whether they're ethnicity based, religion based, hobby based, language based, region based, education based, regardless of the club, a couple of things that I look for is, first, does the club have a clear vision? Like, are they, and does their vision align with mine? I happen to believe that I've been put here to make the world a better place, and I want to belong to a club that also is committed to making the world a better place. Regardless of what type of club it is, I believe that should be the mission of, that's my mission. And so I also want my club to have the same mission. The second thing I look for is organization. Is the club organized? There's a lot of clubs out there that once you start going to the meetings, you start realizing that the club is not very well organized, or there's something wrong with the way they treat their new members, or they're playing too much politics. So the politics supersede any real organization and real impact that the club can be making. And with the lack of organization, I've also seen that there's also a lack of discipline, like financial discipline. And that's a problem for me. Or there's a lack of time management. So you may go to a club meeting, and when you get there, you realize, okay, it was a 2-hour meeting, but I probably could have did all of this in 10 minutes. And I'm not trying to rush everything, but that's been my experience. A lot of clubs, they're just not so good at time management. The other thing that I look for is the membership. Does the membership make newcomers feel like they belong? So when you start looking for a club to join, as you begin building out your social circle and making new friends, and you start building your network, look at how they treat new members. Do they welcome you with open arms? Do they make you jump through a whole bunch of hoops to feel comfortable? Do they have a screening process? Some clubs, they have no screening process, or they have no application, or they don't have any formal process to get to know you so that they can vet the quality of the type of person you are. And clubs that don't do that, I get concerned when clubs don't do that, because that means anybody can join. And by anybody, I mean not just good people. There can be people a part of the club that don't have good morals, or they don't have good character, or they don't have good work ethic, or they're greedy people, right? And no one wants, in my opinion, I don't want to join a club that is just full with a whole bunch of greedy people. I just don't. Or a whole bunch of selfish people who they only care about themselves. They only care about making money for themselves. They only care about success for themselves. They only want people to succeed if it means that they're not going to be more successful as themselves. Like being in a club with a selfish person or a greedy person, that is not fun at all. It's so interesting when I find myself in groups in groups that are filled with people who are selfish. It's funny how the selfish people, they don't raise their hand and they're not selfish about doing work. They're like, no, I want to do all the work. No, they're only selfish with the rewards. They're only selfish with the easy stuff. They're only selfish with like the things that are quote unquote the most desirable. That's just an observation. But yeah, when you're looking for clubs, and that's the exercise I'm gonna ask you to do today. When you're looking for clubs, you want to look for a club that is not filled with a lot of selfish people or a lot of people that don't have empathy or they just don't know how to make new members feel welcome. It's another thing that I look for. And the last thing is, where do I fit in? I've been to several types of club meetings, from political clubs to ethnic-based clubs to hobby-based clubs. And I appreciate the clubs the most that have some sort of vision or some idea of where I fit in. I'm like, all right, let's say it's a motorcycle club. Okay, where do I fit into this club? Can I be an active member? Am I going to be planning rides? Am I going to be helping out with some sort of responsibilities? If it's an ethnic-based club, okay, so when's the next fundraising event? When's the next community event? Where do I fit into that community planning, either planning the event or resourcing the event or staffing the event? I started thinking through, okay, where do I fit in? And when you start looking for your clubs, look for that as well. Make sure that the club has an idea of where you fit in and what you can do to contribute right away. No one wants to be along to a club and pay dues and do all this other stuff and get to know people just to realize that the club never saw you as an active member, doesn't want you as an active member, and only wants you to support the club from the outside. When you actually want to be an active member and you want to support the club from the inside, and you want to be part of the chili, you want to get to know people, you want to network, you want to make friends, you want to start building out your social circle that has the resilience to go through life with you. I'm not saying that you have to belong to the same club your entire life, but I'm saying that the relationships that you're building are lifelong relationships that you want to build when you join a club. And that's my ask today, as we continue the series about making friends and not just in our personal life, but also in our professional life. If you're out there and you're planning on making friends at work, or you want to make friends at work, think about the clubs that are industry based. You may even have clubs right there or organizations right there in your company. But think about the organizations that are industry-based or function-based. Reach out to them. Sometimes it's just an email that you need to send. Sometimes there's a form that needs to be filled out. But become a member of your industry clubs and become a member of your companies or your firm's clubs. It is so important. There's a lot of people out there that are individual contributors and that are team managers and team leaders. And there's a lot of managers and senior managers that are out there, and they belong to no clubs. They have a secondary network. It's almost like skydiving without a reserve parachute. If something happens to your primary parachute and you know you have a reserve, boom, you go right to your reserve and it's safe. If you're working at a company and you're being evaluated correctly and everything is going well and you're getting your promotions, but a downturn happens, or something unexpected happens in the economy, or something unexpected happens at the company and some difficult decisions need to be made, and your primary parachute, your primary option, your initial career choice, your primary role, something happens to it, you want to make sure that you have a reserve parachute. You want to make sure that you have a secondary network that you can rely on. And that is not going to dry up once you leave your company, or once something happens with your role or the nature of your role. You want to make sure that you have that secondary network that you can rely on that is supportive of you, which is one of the biggest cases that executives, managers, and associates, employees, everyone, whatever your level is, you should become active members of a community of your choice. It doesn't have to be my community. Pick a community, pick a club that interests you, and get your friends involved as well. People that you work with, people that you like their working style, whatever it is, right? Get them as well to join, convince them to join, and let them know, like, hey, we're not going to build a boat after it starts raining. We're not going to buy a fire extinguisher after we already have a fire. We're not going to build our business, our secondary business network when we need to rely on it. We want to build it before we have to rely on it. We want to prepare for the next downturn before the next downturn happens. That's my ask for you. That's the assignment. That's the exercise as you think about making friends at work and in your personal life. Start looking for events that you can attend that are hosted by clubs that you can become a member of. And once you find them, reach out to them and try to go to, I shouldn't say try, but go to one of their events and learn more about the club. Usually they have some sort of brochure or a website or whatever it is. Find 3 clubs. Maybe they're your industry clubs. Maybe it's an ethnic-based club. Maybe it's a religious-based club. Find 3 clubs. Start becoming an active member of a community. Begin to expand your social circle, not just with casual acquaintances, but with people like you. It's important for people, good people, to socialize and become active members of communities so that we can be there to support each other when we need the support the most. I know this was a long webcast today, and I probably talked a lot longer than I expected, but I wanted to tell you how appreciative I am of your attention and with your support along this journey. I look forward. One of these days I am going to be better. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I look forward to speaking to you all again very soon. I hope your week is going well. I hope it's off to a great start, regardless of everything that is going on. I hope you make new friends this week and you exercise, you practice, and you have success at identifying clubs that you can join and communities that you can become an active member of that make you feel like you belong and make you feel safe, make you feel comfortable, and that you can support and that will also support you. All right, that's what I have. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.